It's summertime at Baylor University, and even though many students are away for the summer, enjoying internships, mission trips, or other jobs, the campus is still full of life, and not just with students who are taking summer classes. It's been a long tradition here at Baylor to welcome students for all types of summer camps throughout the university: athletics, music, academics, and more. All ages, all interests, there's something that brings students to campus, and many of these camps allow students to experience life on campus, interacting with Baylor faculty, students, and more. And today we're talking with two Baylor faculty members who are heavily involved in these camps, one in the education department and one in computer science. We're visiting today with Todd Kettler and Mary Lauren Benton. We have camps taking place, one through the Talent Identification Program and one through Innovate, an engineering and computer science camp taking place here at Baylor. And we're going to talk to them about what goes on, what students will enjoy, and why these are such an important part of the Baylor experience. Mary Lauren, Todd, really appreciate you being with us today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's good to have you both here. And I'll mention we've done this a couple times lately. We've had two faculty members who meet on this show. So we appreciate you doing this, jumping on and sharing. And I'm sure you'll both hear things that each other are doing that remind you of what's taking place in your own division. But we appreciate you taking the time to do this and jumping on during a busy stretch. You're getting ready for the summer here. And I want to start by asking you, we're going to talk about camps here at Baylor. But going back to your time when you were in elementary or middle or high school, did either of you ever attend a college camp or a college summer event of any sort on a campus?
I'll go first, Derek. When I was in high school, I went to a golf camp at the University of North Texas. It was the first time I'd ever seen a dormitory, and I lived in a dormitory and had a ball. I probably got a little bit better at my sand game while I was there, but it was a lot of fun. So I can imagine why it's attractive to the students to get away from the house, kind of go to a college campus and I think one of the best things is just getting a taste of what college feels like. And that's how I remember my golf camp experience.
That's great. So you got that taste there
Yeah.
at UNT, a sign of things to come. What about you, Mary Lauren? Did you ever attend a camp at college or any sort of event during the summer?
Absolutely. So didn't attend a camp per se, but right before I came to Baylor as an undergrad, I came to Line Camp. And actually prior to that, I came to the Invitation to Excellence event. And like Todd was saying, the excitement of being on campus, of seeing what college would be like and getting to experience the faculty and learning from them even before I got here was really one of the big reasons why I chose Baylor in the first place.
Now you're here as a faculty member as well. So
Yeah.
a great full circle experience there.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to dive into what Innovate and what the Talent Identification Program are and how these bring students to campus, what are taking place. But broadly, Mary Lauren, I'll start with you. For ECS, why is it important to host summer events that connect students to the college experience?
I think that bridge between what they're learning in the classroom and then how we're actually using techniques and ideas in engineering and computer science really makes the math and the physics and those challenging courses come to life. So one of the most important things to me, I think, is building curiosity and excitement in the students for the things they can do with what is a challenging course in high school or maybe something they don't get to interact with very much. We can bring them here. We can show them what their faculty are really doing with these ideas or where their research is, what's on the cutting edge. And I think that gets students really excited to learn more.
Probably some similar answers, but in the School of Ed, why has it been so important through the years to host these?
Yeah, I think the Baylor TIP program is the sort of the newest innovation in a long history. The holding summer programs for high ability, talented kids goes all the way back to 1983 here at Baylor. So we're talking 40 plus years of this experience where we're bringing kids in. But the models have evolved over time. So the program that we're running now has some similarities to the one that started in 1983, but we serve a broader range of kids and have more, I would say, more of an academic focus rather than a just enrichment focus.
So you mentioned TIP. We're going to really dive into this over the course of the show, but when you're talking about TIP broadly, what is that?
All right, TIP stands for Talent Identification Program. So we're technically the Baylor Center for Talent Identification Programs, or Baylor TIP. And the TIP model goes back to about 1977 to 1980, when there was some big national attention given to why we need to be more focused on our most high ability kids across the country. So you had a handful of universities like Johns Hopkins, Northwestern, and Duke University. They were the three leaders in the talent search model. And Johns Hopkins and Northwestern are still part of this those services. Duke shut their doors in 2022, and that's when Baylor picked up the Baylor TIP program. So we evolved from UYP into Baylor TIP when Duke had shuttered their programs. So we kind of filled that gap that Duke had previously been serving kids in Texas. We were happy to ramp up our model, and we're excited about where we're headed.
And you mentioned UYP, University for Young People. I think a lot of people have known that title over the years, but that's now part of TIP.
That's right. That was the original program, University for Young People, and we maintain that terminology. It is our youngest group of kids now. It's our first, second, and third grade programs, and we offer those programs throughout the year.
And these are students of all potential majors and interests, right?
That's right.
Right. And obviously, it makes sense that within the School of Engineering and Computer Science that you're focused on those specific disciplines. But take us inside what Innovate is. Who is it for, and what are some of the topics you're going to cover?
Yeah, Innovate is for rising 11th and 12th grade students. So we're targeting students at the end of their high school careers who maybe have some already specific interests in engineering, computer science, and also are potentially starting to look at colleges and universities. And then some of the topics that we look at, last year we focused on engineering, computer science innovations for health. But this year, we're going to have a range of different faculty all bringing their specific expertise. So we'll have a much wider collection of topics and activities for the students.
Is it fun to take some of these engineering or computer science topics and find ways to really provide hooks for these high school students who might have some understanding or interest and really kind of bring them down that path towards what they might be studying someday?
Absolutely. It's a blast. So last year, when we got to do health, my research area is in bioinformatics. So a lot of the research that I'm doing is applying computer science and data science techniques to study human health and biological processes. And I got to bring the students along for that ride. So we actually built machine learning algorithms in the session to identify COVID cases versus pneumonia cases just using chest X-ray images. And so they got really a chance to see what that might be like to, take some sort of medical data that's really relevant for healthcare and then apply, machine learning and artificial intelligence to try to make classifications based on that.
So some real world types of things for
Absolutely.
sure. But how many students are a part of Innovate?
We have about 40 to 60 students. We're growing that capacity now, so we're hoping to continue to reach more and more students. Last year we had about 40. This year we're hoping to grow a little bit more.
That's great. And Todd, all age groups within TIP, about how many students you're planning on welcoming to campus this summer?
I believe we're going to have about 485 students on campus this summer. We're very excited about that. We run our programs through June and July. And we have, they're stratified by age group. Some are residential and some are commuter. But yeah, we're very excited. About 480 some odd students. A lot of students and a lot of staff.
Mm-hmm. As you talk about that, you use the same terminology that we talk about for full-time students, right? On campus or off, right? Some are here residential. About how many students, do you know about how many or what age groups are going to be on campus? And what's it like trying to welcome them into our residence halls and into campus life?
Yeah, that's a great question, Derek. I think one of the highlights of the program, we do a lot of feedback from our students, and sometimes we think the learning, the classes that are fantastic. And when we ask the kids at the end of camp, sometimes it's like, it was the dormitory that was fantastic. And so I think it's a full experience, right? That they're going to learn a lot, but they get this dorm experience. They love Penland. Their eyes just light up when they walk into Penland in the summer, and they think this is the greatest cafeteria ever. And we think that the living on campus experience, those are really only our oldest kids, our 8th through 12th grade students. The students in 1st through 7th grade are commuter students.
And what about the residential aspect for Innovate, Mary Lauren?
I think that's a huge part of this camp. So last year was our first summer making this a fully residential camp, and the students came in. We paired them in small groups with current Baylor students in these programs, so they got a chance to not only live on campus and eat in Penland, which they also loved, but they got to go to the Slick and go to the library. And we took them to our research spaces. So they got to see the big lasers and the cool equipment in the engineering labs. And then they were being guided by students who are doing the things and studying and in the majors that they're hoping to be in, just in a few years. So I think that part was a really big hook for the students and something that got them really excited about college, about engineering, and about what their futures could look like.
They're learning a lot, but it's almost like they're on vacation just a little bit, maybe. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Lots of, they played lots of Legos and games and made videos and things in their downtime. So they did work and they learned a lot, but they had a lot of fun too.
That's pretty exciting. And, I'm going to ask you both about the program a little bit more here, but also that interaction with faculty or with students. That's such a big part of it, whether it's learning that, I can interact with a Baylor faculty member or these students who are a few years down the line from them, and they can kind of see that path as well. So Todd, let's dive in a little bit to talent identification program. You mentioned it's different age groups, middle school and high school are on campus, and the younger age groups are lower in that ballpark there. Take us inside, just to give some samples, if you would, of what the programming looks like and what faculty involvement looks like here.
Our most intensive program is our TIP residential, which are the high school kids. And these students we have 3 weeks of programs, but each week they would take one class for an entire week, and they do about 7 hours of class time each day. So it's pretty intensive.
Wow, yeah.
It's a lot. And most of the cases, the courses are taught by Baylor faculty or sometimes doctoral students in those departments. We have great collaboration. I think one of the things we're really proud about is we collaborate with units across campus. So we have a really strong collaboration with the Honors College because the Dean Henry will give a talk to the kids and explain to them why you would consider an Honors College someday. And we have a great collaboration with athletics. One of our most popular courses that we've offered for multiple summers is sports medicine. And we collaborate with the training staff that work in athletics, and our students get to go and tour all of the training facilities in athletics. And they're just amazed because we have, top-notch facilities and just outstanding programs for rehabilitation and diagnosing injuries. And the students really come away with a deeper understanding of how health sciences and athletics intersect at that medical, how do we not only prevent injuries, but how do we diagnose them in real time out on a playing field sometimes? And then how do we also provide emergency services when kids are really injured?
I asked Mary Lauren a version of this question, but, you're talking about kids of all ages who are coming to be a part of this. You have about 4 decades of experience as in a School of Education, about 4 decades of experience in this, but creating experiences that are age appropriate, bringing our faculty to that. How much fun is that? And what have you and your colleagues found to be most enjoyable about that?
Well, first of all, just to see the difference it makes. One of the way we identify kids in the talent identification program is these kids are already performing in roughly the top 10%, and then they have to test to be admitted. So the ones that get admitted after the testing are probably top 5% in terms of academic performers. They're national merit kids. They get Fulbright scholarships. I mean, these are really bright kids. And the amount of, we provide them with a highly rigorous curriculum during the summer. And most of them will tell us things like, we learn as much in 1 week at TIP as we learn in an entire semester when we're back at our home school. Wow. So I think a great comparison, Derek, of what we're trying to do is, I know you're familiar with athletics because of your time here at Baylor, but we think most of the athletes that go to play college sports, they didn't just play high school sports. They played on like a travel team of some sort. And that's where, and most of them would tell you that travel team was where they really got their elite training to prepare themselves for college athletics. We think of that Baylor TIP program as like the travel sports for academics, where our kids that are, they're super talented and we are just pushing the envelope to stretch them and prepare them. And most of them, what we provide is undergraduate level curriculum. So we're talking about kids that are 13, 14 years old, learning from a professor with undergraduate curriculum. So they're definitely stretched when they're here for the TIP programs.
That's a great analogy and a good way for us to think of that. And I mean, you do see they're around other elite students, as you said. I mean, they're all learning, but kind of measuring and realizing, oh, I can do this at this level. That's great to see. Innovate. You've told us a little bit about it already, but take us inside a little further, if you would. You mentioned students are in labs and in classrooms. What are some of the ways they're interacting with faculty and, as you said, paired with students as well?
Yeah. So for the each day of camp, what these students are doing is they're waking up, they're spending time in small groups and having discussions with their peer mentors. They're doing activities, but they're spending 4 hours a day with a Baylor faculty member. So last year it was myself and Dr. Men Pak in engineering. And we each took 2-hour blocks in the morning and the afternoon to do something. All of our lessons are really hands-on. They're all activities. So they're learning something about engineering or about a topic, but they're doing it by actually getting their hands dirty, by building something, by programming something and testing it. So they really get a chance to explore and experiment. And they were doing that 3 of the days of camp. Then we took a day to go up to Dallas and actually show them a prosthetics lab. So they got to see some hands-on application for people that are actually implementing some of these tools and techniques. And then they came back to Baylor and they went to research talks by individual faculty. So they got to see, even more people over at the Brick just off campus. So they saw lab tours and research talks. And then on Friday, we did a few more like hands-on activities with them.
You think about a lot of the work you and your colleagues are doing is very high tech. I mean, you're in bioinformatics. It's a very complex field. But with these students, I mean, a lot of y'all started out as kids who are curious, right? How much are you trying to draw a line between their curiosity in high school and what they can do with that at the college level, even though it might seem topics that they don't really know about at this age?
I think curiosity and building that bridge between, here's an equation I use in my physics class, and then here's how we're using it when we're building water filtration devices or prosthetics. Stoking that curiosity and getting students excited about learning more is the main goal of this Innovate camp. And I think one of the things that we can do with a lot of these hands-on activities is demystify some of these complex topics by breaking them down into something that the students can complete, they can learn from, and then they can take back with them, hopefully, this desire to learn more and learn more about why it works and not just have something, a product at the end.
Question for both of you, and I think you've touched on this, but I want to ask you both specifically, what do you hope students take away and what makes, in your mind, the experience successful for your students?
I think if students they walk away curious, they walk away wanting to learn more, and they walk away confident, feeling like they have the skill set and they have the interest and they could be successful in this field, that would be a success for me.
Yeah, it's a great question, Derek. One of we operate on a theoretical model, which we talk about as the science of exceptional performance. And when within that model, one of the things we're trying to help the students achieve is a sense of identity. Whereas, for instance, you may imagine a kid who's really strong in mathematics. At some point in his life, he says, "I'm good at math," and then later on, he says, "Really, math's my favorite subject." But once he adopts this identity, he will start to say, "I'm a mathematician." And so what we find is when we expose our kids to the Baylor faculty that are doing this high-level intellectual work in their disciplines, our kids start to think, "Hey, I want to be like that. I want to be a mathematician. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a health science professional." So I think building identity is one of the things that we really care about in terms of how we're developing these kids.
What are you both, Todd, I'll start with you as you get ready to welcome kids to campus. What are your favorite parts? What are you most looking forward to experiencing, whether it's you or your colleagues?
I think drop-off day is fun because kids are super anxious and they wonder, do I belong? because they start talking to the other kids and they say, and they find out where that kid goes to school, and the kid says, well, yeah, I took 6 AP courses last year, and they wonder, do I belong in this group? And what we do masterfully, my staff is outstanding at this, is we really provide a caring environment. And these kids, while it is intense academics, but at the same time, they feel like I'm supported, I'm welcome here. And we hope that when they walk away, they think, I belong at Baylor University. This is a place I could see myself.
What about you, Mary Lauren? Same question as your Innovate kids prepare to come. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to meeting them and watching them grow over the course of the week. One of the things that really struck me when I saw them on the first Monday afternoon of camp last year versus the Friday is how many relationships they'd built. They came in strangers. They were all a little bit nervous. They weren't really sure, what we were doing or if they were going to have fun. And by the end of the camp, you would never know that they hadn't been, friends for 5 years. Like, they built these really great relationships. They had good relationships with their undergrad student mentors and a really great rapport. They got to meet with the faculty, and you could tell that when we had our end of camp breakfast that they were excited to show their parents what they'd done and introduce them to the people that they'd met. And so just watching them build those relationships and get excited for Baylor and that, caring community that I think we build is really special. So I'm really excited to see that happen again.
And some of them might be your future students, you or your colleagues, for sure. And to that end, as we close, I want to ask you, Marilyn, I'll start with you. Are there any stories that have stood out to you as where you see that impact most meaningfully as you talk to these students?
Yeah, I think one of the things that was really cool, getting to know those students over the summer was great. And we, sent them off to do their junior or senior year of high school. But actually just this past spring at a Baylor Premier event, I gave a short research talk. And afterwards, I had one of my students from the summer come up and say, I loved the camp. We had a great time and we're really excited to be here. And he was touring the campus and looking at Baylor because of the things and the people that he interacted with during our camp. So that was really, really cool. And I'm hoping we'll see more of that in the future.
Absolutely. What about you, Todd?
Derek, one of the programs that we have, it's like a program within a program called Project Promise. Project Promise began in 1999, so we're on the 27th year, and it's been funded through grant funds and philanthropy, as well as support from the university. The mission of Project Promise is to identify high potential kids, like the ones that are getting into TIP. But these kids that are in Project Promise are in the lowest family quartile for family income. And just some basic statistics in terms of educational attainment, according to the Pell Institute, which studies this tremendously and annually, you have about a 13% likelihood of attaining a bachelor's degree by the age of 24 if you're in the lowest quartile of family income. And we've had more than 500 Project Promise kids come through our programs since it was launched in 1999. And we have a 91% bachelor's degree attainment rate by the age of 24. So to me, when I think about what impact we're having, that's probably the most profound impact, because these kids are kids that wouldn't think of Baylor University as a place I might go to college or maybe even to a summer program. But we work with school districts and we recruit them and we get them here, and we really focus on that idea of belonging, like I mentioned a moment ago. But when they start to believe, I can do this, I can be a part of this group, the stories will just bring tears to your eyes because it's fantastic. And some of those kids, when they finish high school, they ask if they can come and work as counselors in our program because they want to pass on what was given to them.
That's pretty cool. That's really exciting. Well, and you both paint such a great picture of why these matter and what's taking place. And we're excited for another generation of kids to come through this summer. So Mary Lauren, Todd, thank you so much for the work you do in these, you and your colleagues, and thanks for taking the time to share.
Thank you.
Grateful for that, for sure. Well, if you're on campus this summer and you see kids who don't look quite college age, now you know a little bit more about why they're here, whether they're in one of the dining halls or residence halls and certainly in the classrooms across campus. Appreciate our guests today, Todd Kettler and Mary Lauren Benton, with us here on Baylor Connections. You can learn more about the Talent Identification Program and Innovate in the show notes from this episode. This and every episode available online at baylor.edu/connections. You can get video as well on the Baylor University YouTube channel, and they're all available on iTunes as well. I'm Derek Smith. Thanks so much for joining us today on Baylor Connections.